Nobody carries more pressure than the prospect who gets their name called first on MLB Draft Day. Let's take a look at every single number one overall pick from the last 15 years, give a few interesting facts about them that you may not already know, and let you know how their career looks in the present day. We begin with 2010, where Bryce Harper was selected first overall by the Washington Nationals. You won't find many talents who have had more prospect hype than this guy since the turn of the century. A standout, powerful bat out of Las Vegas High School, Harper was no stranger to the bright lights, hitting viral home runs before he could even legally drive. Scouted as a five-tool player, the Nationals selected the runaway favorite at first overall in the 2010 MLB Draft, and he didn't take long to make his debut, cracking the big leagues at the young age of 19 years old. Harper won the 2012 NL Rookie of the Year award, notably hitting 22 long balls, 26 doubles, and 9 triples. Fun fact, outside of that rookie year, Bryce has never had more than 3 triples in a single season. Anyway, he was off and running. Harper never had the same manager for more than 3 consecutive seasons in Washington, but names like Jim Riggleman, Davey Johnson, Matt Williams, the legendary Dusty Baker, and Dave Martinez all took their shifts. Harper left for Philadelphia in 2019 before eventually signing a monster deal worth up to $330 million. Unfortunately for the former Las Vegas phenom and former National at that time, it was also 2019 that Washington won their first ever World Series without Harper. All in all, we're watching a Hall of Fame career unfold. Bryce Harper's on track to hit well over 400 home runs when all is said and done. He's a 2-time MVP and already has 8 All-Star selections. I'm sure he wouldn't mind a ring on that finger, though. We'll see if that is what's up next, as the Phillies are surefire contenders in the National League. On to 2011. Gerrit Cole was the number 1 overall pick in the 2011 MLB Draft, selected by the Pittsburgh Pirates out of UCLA. He debuted in 2013 and quickly established himself as a frontline starter in the Pirates rotation, helping Pittsburgh to the playoffs that year. After a breakout 2015 season, injuries and inconsistencies followed, and he was traded to the Astros by the turn of the calendar in 2018. In Houston, Cole took a big leap, hosting dominant numbers, including a 326 strikeout season. 200 strikeouts in a year is usually an accomplishment back in 2019, and he helped the team reach the World Series. He then signed a record-breaking $324 million deal with the Yankees in 2020. In New York, Cole has remained an elite ace, consistently near the top of the Cy Young voting results, and he eventually won the award in 2023. Known for that overpowering fastball and precision, Cole is one of the premier pitchers of his generation. He has certainly lived up to the hype that comes with being a number 1 overall pick. 2012, Carlos Correa was selected number 1 overall in 2012 by the Houston Astros. A surprising pick at the time out of Puerto Rico. He quickly proved the Astros right, though, rising through the minors and making an immediate impact when he debuted in the 2015 season, winning AL Rookie of the Year. Correa became a centerpiece of Houston's core, leading the team to multiple playoff runs and eventually capturing that controversial World Series title in 2017. Known for his strong arm, slick glove, and clutch postseason performances, Correa developed a reputation as one of the most complete shortstops in baseball rather quickly. After hitting free agency, he had some controversial failed agreements with both the Giants and the Mets due to medical concerns before eventually signing with the Twins in 2022. Injuries have followed him throughout his career, but when he's healthy, Correa remains a high-impact player, a veteran leader at this point, and he's been anchoring Minnesota's infield with both defense and timely hitting. On to 2013, it's Mark Appel. He was the number 1 overall pick that season by the Astros out of Stanford after turning down the Pirates as the 8th overall pick just the season prior. This is an inspiring but also kind of sad story. Seen as the polished college arm with ace potential, Appel's pro career never really lived up to its expectations. He struggled with command, velocity fluctuation at times, and injuries in the minors, and eventually was traded to the Phillies. By 2018, Appel had never reached the major leagues. He stepped away from baseball entirely at that point. But in one of the sport's most inspiring stories, he made a complete comeback in 2021 and finally debuted under the lights at the big league level for the Phillies in 2022 at the ripe age of 30 years old. Though he only pitched in a handful of games at that point, Appel's journey became a story of perseverance. This guy could have hung it up at any time, but he stayed the course until he finally got that sought-after goal a call up to the big leagues, even though it was after that brief hiatus. He retired in the 2023 season, not as the ace that many envisioned he would be, but as a respected figure who overcame adversity and found peace with his path as well. On to 2014, this next story had a similar path to that of Mark Appel, but it didn't have the happy ending. Brady Aiken was drafted first overall by the Astros in 2014, and yes, you heard that right, this is the third year in a row the Astros were picking number 1 overall. Aiken became the first high school left-hander ever selected with that top pick, but he never signed with Houston due to medical concerns about his elbow. The agent and the team had some disagreements about Aiken, and those ultimately proved valid. He underwent Tommy John surgery shortly after that debacle. The next year, Cleveland took a chance and drafted him 17th overall, so still a mid-level first-rounder, but Aiken struggled with velocity, command, and consistency in the minor leagues. Aiken never advanced past A-ball, and he's been out of affiliated ball since the 2019 season. While he was incredibly talented in high school, Aiken's career remains one of those biggest what-ifs in MLB Draft history, and his case changed how teams evaluate medical risks during the signing process, specifically with high schoolers. On to 2015, where Dansby Swanson was the top pick in that draft. He was selected by the Diamondbacks after leading Vanderbilt to a national title at the NCAA College World Series. But his time with Arizona was short. He was traded to Atlanta later that year in a surprising deal, so Dansby never donned the Diamondbacks jersey. He never played a game for them. Swanson made his MLB debut in 2016 and became a steady presence in the Braves infield. He steadily improved each season, had a breakout year in 2021, hitting a career-high 27 home runs and helping Atlanta win the World Series. Known for his defense, his gold glove, his leadership, and his clutch moments, Swanson signed a huge free agency deal with the Cubs in the 2023 season, where he's continued to provide that gold glove defense and strong veteran presence. Steady is the word I like to use to describe Swanson, just reliable. While not a perennial MVP candidate, Swanson has carved out a respected career as a winning player and one of the league's most reliable shortstops. On to 2016, Mickey Moniak was the first overall pick in that year's draft by the Phillies out of high school, praised for his speed, his contact skills, and athleticism. While Moniak's rise through the minors was slow, when he finally did debut in 2020, he struggled to make consistent contact and earn any playing time. After limited success in Philadelphia, Moniak was eventually traded to the Angels in 2022. There we saw some flashes of power and improved confidence, including stretches of strong play in 2023, but questions remain about his long-term role. Now you can find him playing for the Colorado Rockies, so he's bouncing around the league a little bit, where he's had a respectable start to his 2025 campaign. Moniak's been more of a platoon or fourth outfielder than the franchise centerpiece many expected when he was drafted 9 years ago. His career is a reminder again of how volatile high school projections can be and how development often takes a different path than expected sometimes, but he still made it to the show. Over to 2017, Royce Lewis was drafted first overall by the Twins that year, bringing a mix of athleticism, charisma, and offensive upside. He looked like a fast riser early on in his pro ball career, but his development was derailed by injuries, including a pair of unfortunate ACL tears that cost him both the 2021 and 2022 seasons. Lewis finally did make his eventual debut in 2022, but it wasn't until the 2023 season that he fully arrived, hitting 4 grand slams in a single month and becoming a clutch hitter in the postseason for the Twins. By the 2024 season, he emerged as one of the most exciting young stars in baseball, bringing that energy, power, leadership, and charisma that the Twins were looking for into their lineup. Despite the injury setbacks, Lewis is now the heart of Minnesota's future and one of the most dynamic players to come out of a recent draft. He did start this season out on the 10-day IL. The hope is that he can harness what we saw in that 2023 season, not as much, at least from a big picture perspective, of what we saw last year where his batting average took a bit of a hit. In 2018, Casey Mize was selected first overall out of Auburn thanks to his elite command and devastating splitter as a secondary pitch. He moved quickly through Detroit's system and debuted by 2020, and in 2021, Mize showed flashes of his top-end potential, pitching over 150 innings with a solid earned run average, but injuries soon took him over. He underwent Tommy John surgery in 2022 and missed all of the next season. He returned this last year with cautious optimism, working to regain that velocity and resharpen his command, while the jury's still out on whether or not he will reach that ace status that many saw him getting to when he was drafted first overall 7 years ago. Mize remains a key part of Detroit's pitching plans. If he stays healthy, the talent is obviously still there, and he had an impressive 2025 debut. 5 2/3 innings of shutout ball with a single hit allowed. Keep an eye on Mize, his story is far from written. Adley Rutschman was the number 1 overall pick in 2019 out of Oregon State, widely considered one of the best catching prospects in decades, and now considered one of the best catchers in this league. A switch hitter with power, plate discipline, and elite defense, Rutschman brought a complete game to the Orioles. He debuted a couple of seasons ago in 2022 and quickly transformed a team that was losing a lot of games at that point. He helped spark Baltimore's rebuild into a contending force. He's already an all-star and a Gold Glove caliber defender with a strong arm, quiet leadership, and a veteran approach at the plate, wise beyond his years. Rutschman's the face of the Orioles' resurgence and was a much-needed palate cleanser after some forgettable years that had them picking first overall to begin with. He's already one of the best catchers in baseball, giving Baltimore their most important franchise player since, arguably, the Cal Ripken era. On to 2020, the COVID year. Spencer Torkelson was drafted first overall by the Tigers as a slugging first baseman out of Arizona State, where he shattered the freshman home run record set by some guy named Barry Bonds. Known for his elite power and polished bat, he was seen as a future middle-of-the-order force. Debuting in 2022, but struggling, he hit below the Mendoza line in his rookie campaign. Torkelson rebounded in 2023 with 31 long balls and a strong second half, raising hopes that he would have turned the corner. However, we saw more regression last year with inconsistencies in both contact and on the defensive end. Torkelson's power remains his calling card. That's the main drawing force to him, but questions about his approach and consistency are still well in play. The potential's there, but 2025 may be a make-or-break season in providing whether or not he can be a long-term anchor for Detroit's offense. On to 2021, where Henry Davis was drafted number 1 overall by the Pittsburgh Pirates as a bat-first catcher out of Louisville. Phenomenal baseball program. He moved quickly through the minors and debuted in 2023. While his arm behind the plate impressed, Pittsburgh has experimented with him in right field to keep his bat in the lineup at times. Offensively, though, it just hasn't gone very well. Davis has shown power and patience, but he's also dealt with injuries and has yet to put together a consistent, successful stretch at the plate. The Pirates still believe in his upside, but his long-term position, whether it's catcher, an outfielder, or DH, remains a question at the time. 2025 will be a key year in determining whether or not he can emerge as a foundational piece in Pittsburgh's rebuild. He starts the season in AAA Indianapolis, where he has caught for a couple of likely future Pittsburgh Pirates starters in Thomas Harrington, who just got called up not too long ago, and Bubba Chandler. On to 2022, Jackson Holliday, the son of Matt Holliday, was the top pick in this draft by the Orioles and has been nothing short of electric in the minors and just made his debut last season. With elite bat-to-ball skills, advanced plate discipline, and a smooth left-handed swing, Holliday skyrocketed through the minors, reaching AAA before turning 20 years old. His ability to control the strike zone and handle both lefties and righties has drawn rave reviews. It's what resulted in him getting called up so quickly. Defensively, he's capable at shortstop, but could also play second base on the other side of the middle infield if need be. There was an awkward stint last year where Holliday was called up, struck out a ton, got sent back to AAA, and then came back right before the postseason and looked a lot better. As of 2025, he's expected to be a mainstay with the big league ball club, potentially joining an already stacked Orioles lineup. He's one of the best prospects in baseball and looks poised to be a franchise player for years to come since he just graduated. On to 2023, arguably the biggest name on this list. Paul Skenes was the number 1 overall pick this year out of LSU, where he dominated college baseball and led his team to a national championship. Armed with a fastball that routinely touches 100-plus miles per hour and a devastating slider, Skenes quickly rose through the minors and made his major league debut inside of a year of when he was originally drafted. He's one of the most hyped pitching prospects in recent memory, drawing comparisons to that of Gerrit Cole and Steven Strasburg. And while the guy is a freak of a physical specimen, his ability to gather intel and adjust very quickly is just as impressive. Not long after experimenting with his splinker, it became one of the best pitches in the game. The arsenal just keeps getting more vast, though. He's got a fastball. He has that splitter-sinker hybrid. changeup, slider, curveball, and a few other modifications that he's just testing out and doing remarkable in doing so. Skenes also just became the first pitcher in Major League Baseball history to have at least 175 strikeouts and a sub-2 ERA through his first 25 starts. If Skenes stays healthy, he could be the face of baseball for a long time. And to last year's draft, where Travis Bazzana became the first Australian-born player drafted number 1 overall when the Guardians selected him in 2024. A dynamic second baseman out of Oregon State, Bazzana combines elite plate discipline, surprising power, and plus speed as well. He tore up college baseball with one of the best offensive seasons in recent memory, drawing comparisons to players like Mookie Betts for his all-around game, 5-tool player. Bazzana is a fast riser and could reach the majors quickly thanks to his polished approach and competitive fire. He's expected to be a cornerstone for Cleveland's future, offering both excitement and upside as one of the top prospects in baseball. Most recently, you could find him hitting his first career Double-A home run with the Akron Rubber Ducks. Those are the last 15 number 1 overall picks in the MLB Draft. Let us know if you like this type of video. Leave your video suggestions in the comments. Like and subscribe if you enjoy minor league baseball, and we will see you in the next one.